one important thing before we start. The government should fear its citizens 100% of the time. Unironically, and without a hint of jokes, the government should fear the people, period. Because the alternative is the people fear the government, and that is fucking tyranny. You should become a government agent or official reluctantly in the service of your fellow man, not thinking that you get to be an administrator or controller of their fucking property and their fucking rights. We have twisted government service into a position of power, but the word is government service, and the service is not to the government, but to the people. And these motherfuckers lord over us as a new aristocracy, a new ruling class of nobility. And they do so openly and in our faces. The founding fathers would roll in their fucking graves to see how we treat the government today. They should serve in fearful respect, in the same way that the Bible uses fear, reverence of their God. Because the populace, the people, the citizenry are the God of government, not the other way around. And they should have asked themselves in that moment why they deserved the fear that they had. Because they lost the trust of the governed. They lost the trust of the people they committed to serve, because they didn't serve them, they ruled them. In the United States, we do not, friends, we do not have rulers. We have public servants. They have forgotten that. They have forgotten what public service means. We do not have rulers, and we never, ever should. So that's my preface for this video. Basically, local town politics colluded with a local business owner and screwed Heemeyer out of his own business. That's the real story here. That's the story that that is one that's identifiable by tons of people across the country. I'm so jealous of the Killdozer guy, though. People will write their entire lives. The writers are like, oh, I'm going to be very profound. And they will never come up with a statement that this guy came up with. Sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things. And it was like, oh my goodness, like, who are you? Where did you come from? And why are you the prophet? I need to face east when reading your book. Holy shit.
Who is Killdozer?
You don't
know about wait, well, hold on. You don't know about Marvin Heemeyer?
I don't know that either.
Oh, man.
Oh,
okay. We need to give him an education.
Anyway, he has like a cement factory or something, and he's building it, but he can't get a sewer line to the actual property because there's a property that landlocks him, and it would cost infinity money to bring the pipe like around the building. So he tries to go under the building. He can't get the permits for it. And the government just hoses him over. And this is a guy who's had a business for a long time in the town. He's tried all of the things. And the administrative body just basically says, F you. So this guy buys a bulldozer and covers it in concrete and rebar and makes like 3-inch thick armor across the whole bulldozer.
And it cannot be. So once he lowered it with a crane and once it was put down, it could physically not be removed by him. So when he locked himself in, he was trapped.
His sarcophagus of glory. He has, this is in like the 90s. He's got cameras all over this thing, big CRT monitors inside, watching outside, because you can't see out, because there's no window slits, because you can't shoot a bullet into this thing at all. And he has holes in the masonry
Gun ports.
with guns outside. He drives this thing and just obliterates a whole bunch of shit in the town of Granby, Colorado. Does not kill or injure a single person, but he goes straight to City Hall and just bulldozes the shit out of it.
Because they fucked him over on zoning and planning. The ultimate bullshit of the government telling you what you can do with your own goddamn property.
What pisses me off is these fucking people who come in and they're like, well, he offered, the one guy offered more money than what his property was worth, and then he backed out on the deal. Yeah, it's his. He doesn't have to ever do a deal. He doesn't have to sell it to you. If I come up to you and I offer you 4 times what your house is worth, some of you might say, no, this is mine. I built this. I own this. This is my thing. And I don't want to move. I don't want to change. Just because I offer you 4 times the market value doesn't mean that it's worth that to you. And it never, ever has to be. And no one can be compelled to give up their shit. That's freedom. That's what people feel. That's the visceral feeling that people get in their fucking balls. Men and women alike. Women grow a massive pair of nuts when they think about the killdozer. They're like, yeah, holy shit, my ovaries finally dropped. And they get big balls and they're like, fuck the government because this is mine. And no, you can't have it. This is what commies don't understand. This is what central planners will never understand. It's what socialists, it's why socialists get thrown out of helicopters. Because they'll never, ever get it. That this is my thing. And no, you can't have it. I don't care what you pay me. And I'm sorry that you don't like it, but fuck you. That's why. They were so scared of the killdozer that they ended up he had one of his treads got lodged off of the edge of something and it burned out the engine and his thing got toasted and they opened the hatch and they shot him. They say he shot himself. I think they shot him.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, he shot himself. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He Epsteined himself.
They were so scared of this thing that they dismantled the killdozer and no more than 3 individual parts were sent to any single United States dump. They mailed all of them across the country out of fear that someone would reassemble the killdozer piece by piece if it was in one place.
Wow.
He is so funny.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I've never heard of that story. That's a classic story.
And there's video.
I have to keep this muted because of the copyrighted audio, but
Crap.
Yeah,
this is from Destroyed in Seconds on the Discovery Channel.
There he is.
Here it is.
There he is. Yes.
Awesome.
That looks like a Panzer. Like that is like ridiculous. Like, I mean,
That's amazing.
Yeah. Then they couldn't do anything. All they have is even medium arms would do nothing to this thing. It just hit the cement and bounce off. Here we go. Get wrecked, building. Stupid tree. Fuck you, tree. This is the guy right here. Here's the people like running away, running around. He had the gun ports, but he never ended up shooting any. I think he shot at in the direction of some people.
He shot to ward people off, but it really didn't.
There's the place with their shotguns. What the fuck they got?
Look at these cars thinking they could do anything. Yeah, what are you gonna do to it? The cops, their little small arms fire. What are you gonna do, cops? You're gonna shoot an AR-15 at that? It's steel and concrete. You can't do anything. It's impossible.
Freaking
We
tank.
might need a SWAT team. What are you gonna do? Do they have an RPG? Like, what are you gonna do now? You're gonna javelin it? You know?
Yeah.
5-star Grand Theft Auto style. I don't know.
He built this thing in his shed. Government employees were coming in. Like he's got, Andrew mentioned that when he dropped the cement down, he's got this fucking bulldozer there and all this concrete and rebar structure hanging above it. And they're like, nobody's like, hey, what's that, buddy? What do you got going on over there? What kind of project you working on? It's like, he's been building it for years.
Wow.
But yeah, here he is. Here's
great label. Whoever came up with Killdozer, it was a great label.
Oh, it's ironic because he didn't kill anybody.
Here I come.
Oh, you got no chance.
Who's the alpha, bitch?
I'm sorry. You brought a scraper to a bulldozer fight. What are you going to do? So yeah, this is the building where he gets stuck because there's like a hole under his right tread. And
it's the building, I think, that collapses on him because he drove and there's a sub basement. So he like dropped into the basement and then it dropped onto his tread and he was done.
Yeah, this is where the engine gives out. It's too bad.
He
had so much more work to do.
He really did. That's great.
And again, very important for YouTube to understand that the Marvin Heemeyer killed 0 people, injured 0 people.
We are not glorifying violence.
And the left has already decided property damage doesn't count, so they should have no objection.
Right.
Exactly. Property damage does not count. It's mostly peaceful.
Right.
That's all they had to do.
I'm sure it was all insured.
They said buildings don't have life insurance.
Buildings don't have insurance. Y'all seen how fast they built that Target back? All the Targets, everything that was built. Fucking you see how they rebuilt Northside? They gonna do it again. They gonna continue to rebuild everything while they continue to kill our people. These buildings have insurance, everything.
All they had to do was grant this man a permit to run a sewer line under the adjacent business, which, by the way, he sold that property piece, if I remember right, to the adjacent business.
Yes.
And they wouldn't give it to him. So they got they got tar and feathered in the modern era. Okay, you get the gist. This guy went through town, smashing up some buildings, smashing up some government property, and he had a list of people who had wronged him, and he went to go bust up their shit.
Fuck you and you and you. I hate your friends and they hate me too.
Why is this thing important? This is the critical question. In this day, 18 years ago, a reasonable man had to do unreasonable things. So then, I just post, never forget, and reasonable man. And then immediately I get this person. I don't know who this person is. Seriously, are you condoning what he did? And this is how this is always goes with all of this stuff. It's without fail. So you support what he did. What? All anybody ever cares about is the fucking what, isn't it? But here's the thing. Here's why people gravitate to this story. Here's why 18 years later, people talk about the Killdozer. And here is why. And this is the most telling part of it. Marvin Heemeyer, or his Killdozer, when the government got it and dismantled it, they sent the parts of the Killdozer to different dump sites around the country because they were legitimately afraid that someone would collect the parts and reconstruct it. And they wanted to make it difficult. Why? It's not the what, it's the why. Why does he do it? Why is the government scared? And that's what people celebrate. The government was afraid of the citizenry for 15 minutes. For 15 minutes. And all it took was a tractor and a little know-how. They were so terrified of a guy, and all he did was layer some concrete and metal over a tractor and drive it. And it brought a functioning government to its knees, to the point where they had to dismantle the thing and send it all over the country because its ghost might come back and wreck their shit again. For just a couple minutes. For just a couple minutes in 2004, the government remembered who ran it. And all it took was one guy. And if you read his story, you can see how fucking far he was pushed. How hard he was pushed. What he tried to do, how he tried to rectify it. You can't have my thing and you can't muscle me out of my business. And when you do it, and they did, they ultimately did it. He put the fear of not God, but of Komatsu. Komatsu. He put the fear of tractor in these people for just a moment of time. They tell us that, oh, well, if the government actually wanted to oppress a citizen, your stupid little gun wouldn't stop them. All the guns in that town couldn't stop one fucking killdozer. Just one guy.
Longer clips. Based on Unbreaded in 2004, no one was harmed, and the remnants of Killdozer were sent far away from each other so it can never be reassembled. That's how much government fears one person who had enough. Indeed. Great story. Really great story. And that's pretty funny when you consider that they took the thing apart and basically were so afraid, so terrified of the influence this might have on other citizens that they're like, we don't want anyone ever reconstructing Killdozer. We thought it was too well constructed. So that's pretty freaky, and that's showing a government that's really freaked out.
That's what people latch onto. That's what people remember. That's what people see. And anybody who thinks that oh, you can't resist the government if they turn on you, they're dead fucking wrong. And we only have all of human history to show how wrong that they are. Only all of it. And the reason is because, seriously, a guy with a tractor brought a whole town down. We rely on ordered society. The government relies on ordered society for it to exist. It exists because we allow it to. And the Killdozer is one reason that we remember that government is allowed to exist, because we let it go. Because imagine if instead of one Marvin Heemeyer in Granby, Colorado, there were 10. Just 10. What would they have done? They couldn't stop one. It got stopped by nature, by fate, by bad luck. What if there were 100? Now, instead of Granby, make it Chicago. Scale up the numbers. It'd be 10,000 tractors. And they'd be just as ineffective at stopping them. What happens? What happens then? Government knows it lives on a thread of our trust. And Marvin plucked it. But what happens when society becomes uncivil? Well, then its citizenry becomes uncivil. And everybody quickly learns their place. That's what Marvin Heemeyer is. Sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things.